So, after we beamed up Mrs. Owegi at the end of the last video, she stated she wanted to be dropped off in Tahiti for a week or two, and suggested we contact her cousin Ripley to help out with the next video. And now, we are very pleased to present to you Mrs. Owegi's cousin, Ripley. Take it away, Ripley.
What we have here is a nice picture of the 69 Bandmaster Reverb amp, with the main component board removed. The chassis looks pretty dirty, but it's already had a bit of cleaning done, trying to remove the spilled liquid solder flux, or whatever it was that was spilled on it when Mr. and Mrs. Owegi got the amp. Here is a good look at most of the original parts in the amp. I don't know if you can see it real good, but the tube socket pins were still dirty, even after being cleaned. Which is why Mr. O replaced them all. I imagine some of that spilled gunk got into them. Up next are a few pictures of the original bright slider switches from the amp. The first few are disassembled pictures of the slider switches. Both of the slider switches were intermittent and were replaced with new ones. It's my understanding that Mr. O is thinking about doing a video on how they can sometimes be saved. Here are two pictures of the new slider switches. The original potentiometers that tested good were taken apart and thoroughly cleaned. These pictures were taken during the cleaning, so things aren't completely cleaned up yet. Take note of the center contact ring, before and after, using a pencil eraser to clean it up. An eraser can be a good cleaning aid buddy at times. Here's the iron before being cleaned up, all spiffy-like. They're all original from what we can tell. The Reverb Transformer. The choke. The output transformer. And last but not least, two pictures of the power transformer. Cool beans. Here's the chassis top, after a bit of spit and polish. Still not the prettiest, but better than what it was. And here's the front and inside of the chassis, along with the brass ground plate, after some spit and polish. Here we have the 3 new belt and octal tube sockets installed. Next up, the 6 new belt and 9-pin tube sockets, for the 12AX7 and 12AT7 tubes. We won't be putting 7025 tubes into the amp at this time. We only have one 7025 in stock at the moment. And here's an inside shot, with all the new tube sockets installed. And here's an outside shot, with all the new tube sockets installed. Let's get a couple quick close-up shots of the tube socket tops. Much cleaner and nicer than the old ones that were replaced. Up next, let us take an eyeball gander at the eyelet boards. Here we have both the original and new main component eyelet boards to the left. To the right of those on top we have the bias eyelet board. Below that, we have the filter capacitor doghouse. And to the right of those on top, we have the new filter cap board. And below that, the original filter cap eyelet board that was in the amp when Mr. and Mrs. O received the amp. Here's a closer look at the new and old filter cap boards. Close-up of the old filter cap board. Close-up of the new filter cap board. A look at the back of the new filter cap board. A closer look at the bias board. Here's a look at the original main component board. Unfortunately, this board had stray voltages on it and needed to be replaced. Here's a look at the new main component board. Mr. and Mrs. O ordered a complete set of boards from Mojo Tone. They seem to be decent boards. And here's the new Squidopus with all its components mounted and wired up. At the time this picture was taken, Mr. O still needed to do the double, triple check type thing. And last but not least, here's a look at the back of the Squidopus. Same as before, at the time this picture was taken, Mr. O still needed to do the double triple check type thing. Thanks for having me by. It was a pleasure. I enjoyed it. Don't forget to beam me up. Cousin wants me to join her in Tahiti. She's staying for another week.